Hello, everybody, and welcome to Answer the Call. This is actually take two for you guys that are watching on YouTube. The the um the topic today is something that I'm not too proud of because it's not something that we've done before. Is we're kind of rehashing some Answer the Call content a little bit, but for good reason, and it's pretty topical. On this past ATV, which is now 2 weeks old, there was an update from Disco Lando saying, "Hey guys, we know that that every time a patch comes out, the following ATVs are not very good. Devs are always in meetings, stuff like that, so it's not really a good show. So we're just not going to do it." And going back to the most recent Redacted podcast, this is something that WTFosaurus mentioned. They're always reacting. They always react to the way we, like, okay, we're not happy about it. And the reaction is always the same. We're just not going to do it then. Oh, you don't like it? We just won't do it. Instead of, like, I don't feel there's a lot of maybe, like, looking at your content and going, well, we could do this better and we can do that better. I feel like if we complain about something, they just straight up don't do it, which is always, like, weird to me. But anyway, I did a video recently, and I think it got some pretty good comments and a lot of support on the video, basically, supporting a lot of the things that I said. I saw very, very few people disagreeing with me, and a majority of the commenters did agree with me. So I kind of wanted to give you guys a chance, especially if there are anybody that disagree and why, to come on the show and talk and have your opinions out there and your ideas out there. So I highlighted 4 major issues, and the major issues were this. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Everything that they do is always trying to, like, take it to the next step, and usually with reinventing the wheel, it always, for some godforsaken reason along the line, is about the quality of the video, when the audio quality is horrendous most of the time, and the actual quality of the content lacks because of the lack of interaction with us as the community, I feel. The second point was that Chris Roberts isn't on camera enough. For someone that leads the project of a community-based project where the community funds the game, and the whole idea of why we backed all this money, at least for me, and I know it was for a lot of us early on, is we gave that money so Chris Roberts can make the game of his dreams. That's why we gave him the money. And as a backer, I feel that if we're giving you that kind of money so you can fulfill your dream, you should be interacting with us more about your dream and sharing your vision with us more often. And that's, like, the end of the story with that one. And I'm actually really happy with the way I said that now rather than in the video. I think I was a little aggressive towards him in the video. So, yeah. And I apologize for that. But the last two are the most important for me. The lack of community engagement. I think we are very often part of the development of Star Citizen, but I don't think Star Citizen is a part of the development of their community at all. I think that they should be much more engaged with us on a daily basis on multiple platforms. I think a lot of their community content updates type shows should be more community engaged, more community involved. I used a lot of Warframe as an example, and a lot of the stuff, the updates that they do as far as what's going on in the game, is done by a community manager. Hey guys, we know that this patch sucks for this reason. Here are the idea, like, here are some of the fixes we're working on, and then they move on to the next topic. Simple, done, quick. Star Citizen is starting to do stuff like that, but not enough yet. The other thing is they'll just, like, have a section of their live show where they show, like, fan art and stuff. Like, they are so involved with their community and so the finger on the pulse of their community, where I don't think the hand is anywhere near our community as far as Star Citizen goes. I did leave Lando's name out as much as possible, other than talking about the general update, and Xylo's name out, and any other community members' names out. Because this is not intended to be a, well, I don't like Disco Lando, or I don't like Captain Xylo, or Xylo does better than Lando, or any of those things that I hear sometimes. It's not the point of the video, and I really don't want that to be the subject necessarily of the show. I understand if you don't like Lando, or you like Tyler, or if you don't like Tyler and you like Lando, those are just your kind of personal feelings about a person in a lot of cases, and I don't think that they're relevant to the conversation, right? I mean, I could say that I think one of the problems with the issue with one of the issues with the community updates is they're just Lando a lot of the time, where other dev studios have multiple community managers that interact with each other, and I think that kind of thing will balance out, like just having Lando on screen, which would be really good. Because obviously not everyone's going to be loved by everybody. So, having like a Lando character and somebody that's like kind of the opposite of Lando, maybe even like a female, would be great. Xylo's here and just typed in chat, people don't like me. Maybe. I mean, everybody has their opinions about other people, right? So the final thing was just straight up sustainability, and I kind of gave my solutions at the end of just the shows in general aren't sustainable. I think a lot of the ideas came from Lando/Xylo, so the ideas were fantastic. As far as calling all devs was one of the best ideas ever, and I think everybody's still pissed that it's scrapped. It just needs to be reworked and worked into the current meta, I guess, of their video content. And everything. I mean, I can name off a bunch of shows. I named them in the videos. They're all really, really good ideas. They just weren't sustainable on a weekly basis, and they're not sustainable if the devs are heavily involved with the show, which is why calling all devs kind of struggles, right? But also, the fact that the community has to ask the questions also hurts it as well sometimes. Anyway, the solution to the problem for me was this, and this is where I hope I get some more interaction with you guys on the show, is because I gave my ideas. I want to hear your ideas. I think ATV is completely a waste of time at this point. It's not a waste of time, but it's so unsustainable because it's so dev heavy, so production quality heavy, that we end up seeing a lot of the same things all the time, and it's losing its luster. And I'm going to just say, scrap it all together. That's my solution, and go more to just live content. And have a content show every week where you're more engaged with the community and more involved with the community. And then give like little updates maybe. And then occasionally, when you have the content, maybe play a video like you would for a ship sale or a new feature that's coming into the game. Maybe play the game more on the shows. Like, oh my god, that is the most exhausting and frustrating thing about everything. Is I think it's very important for CIG to show the game and show how beautiful it is, and in the beautiful updates that they do. But I also think it's very, 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 very important for them to play the game in the state that it's in. And we have fantastic Star Citizen streamers. And like, I think Rexilla is pushing the limit of what, I think he's like really changed the meta on Twitch of what people want to do, and they want to play together with their viewers, right? Rexilla showed us that it's possible on a regular basis. And if he can do it, and he's just a guy with a webcam, why can't the team do it? Is kind of my thing with a lot of this stuff. So I'd like to see more of that. But then basically what I want is to take RTV and ATV and melt them together. Is you have your weekly updates that are often and happen every week, and then and be more engaged with the community while you do it, and then like kind of go to the old RTV style a little bit, just a little bit, and not too much because I think it was too much at a time, but just a little bit. And then you can bring in your marketing style of updates as they've done, and then we can react to that video and enjoy it. So anyway, those are my solutions and my thoughts on the problems. I want to hear you guys's, for my New Jersey way of saying things, what you guys think. And yeah, I mean, I did this video. I put a lot of work into this video, but I didn't want it to just be about me and my thoughts and my opinions. It has to be about you guys and what you say more than anything. Because one thing, and the reason why I made this show, is I'm sick of hearing content creators' opinions being more important than everybody else's. Because they're not. Half the time, they're less important than the people who actually play the game, because I feel like, even myself, our opinions lean way too much on what benefits us as a content creator and not what benefits the community or the game the most. So that's why I made this show, and now I want to hear what you guys say, because, again, I've already said what I wanted to say multiple times. So our first caller is Vincent Van Vega, and we're going to bring him on the show. And I should probably be in the live channel. Hey, Vincent, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are
Perfect.
you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm having a couple of like, you know, thoughts about what's the topic today because I've already tackled
Yeah,
in
we
the
talked
other
about it a little bit last week, right?
yeah, but today instead of just complaining, I'm just going to tell you my thoughts
Okay.
because I think it's like that. So I was thinking more of the Chris Roberts issue, you know?
Yes.
So I've played Wing Commander 3 when I was little younger,
Me
like
too.
really young.
Me too.
And
I loved it.
I was like, I thought it was marvelous. I thought it was an amazing game
It
at the
was.
time.
It still is. I played it recently, actually. It's still fun.
I, I didn't play it recently, unfortunately. I don't have it on GOG. It's kind of expensive here in Brazil, so
Mm.
and by the way, I'm sorry for my accent, people
It's
in the.
it's fine. You're perfect.
So what I think about Chris Roberts, it's that uh, not just Chris in the Chris situation in general, but it's like what I said last week, which was that I feel like disconnected. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I feel like disconnected from the people in the community managing. Like I feel like they are like walls away from me.
Yeah. Or
I don't feel like
there's a it
I'm.
feels like there's a wall in between you and them, right?
Yeah,
I get
I
that
feel
sense
like
too a little bit. Just, like I obviously mentioned during my little monologue that Xylo was here watching, and Xylo is in Twitch chats all the time. I don't feel a wall with him necessarily, but the the issue isn't necessarily just one person. It's like the team as a whole, right? So I don't like Lando, to me, even though they're two separate things. Lando does the video updates, Tyler does the community management. In some way they need to be the same because they're both engaging with the community together, but I don't yeah, I agree.
I don't feel like Jared and Zalo are like in sync. You know,
Mhm.
I feel like Jared has its own way of doing his work, and Xylo does another separate way.
Yeah.
It's just disconnected in general, and
Mhm.
I feel like I wish Chris was more like present. I feel like it's like you said before in the intro. It's his vision. He should be at least once a month, and he inspires people at least. Like it's his dream, so he's more is going to be naturally more excited about it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
and
So
we believe in his dream, which is why I want to see him more.
li- and I like your idea about making ATV a hybrid between RTV and ATV.
Yeah.
So, but think that I in general I think that it's just sad that it has to come to this point where they gotta cut 3 episodes. They are not let us suggest anything. They're just like feel like we are in this bubble. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I feel like as far as the community content and the content in which they engage with us, I feel like we've never really had a say other than when we complain they cut it. Whereas with the game development, like, hey guys, what do you think of the new flight model? Oh, this needs to be tweaked. Oh, what do you think about auto gimbals? That needs to be tweaked. Okay, we'll tweak it. Like, oh, why are they so good at that, but the complete opposite when it comes to the video content? It's kind of weird.
I just want to know for you that you are a content creator. What are your thoughts on like in general about like how do you think they could improve the communication to us in a way that we don't feel as disconnected? I'm sorry for making a question, but I
No, no,
just
it's
want
okay.
to
If
know.
you saw my face, it's because I accidentally scroll wheeled the mouse and raised the volume really loud. So I apologize. Um, as a content creator, how would I want to see them interact more? Um, and just Xylo, am going to respond. We're going to ask your question and respond to it. The idea of okay, they're involved. They're so involved with so many things, and they're so involved with a lot of the community things. But I feel like it's not necessarily in the right way, or it doesn't feel genuine all the time. Like Xylo Xylo's here, and I don't want people to think that I'm just saying this because he's here. Xylo feels genuine all the time to me, and I know Xylo is genuine all the time. So I don't want this to be like Xylo's doing good and nobody else is. Like, this is why I purposely left the names out of the videos, and just called out what I was feeling as a whole. Because if you start saying this guy does good, then that means that guy's doing bad, and that's not what I want to. The point I'm trying to make here is that I'm still bundling community management and community updates into the same thing because that's what they should be, because that's what they are. The community updates manage our expectations. They're what keep us excited about the game. They're what keep us engaged with the game. That's what community management is, right? As far as I understand, like, I'm not a community manager. I'm not involved in games at all. But as a player, that's where I get my community engagement. That's where you manage your community, is in your video updates, on your forums, on Reddit, on Spectrum, on Twitter, on Facebook, on all these social media platforms, right? They're both part of how you engage with your community. And I take a lot more issue with the video content than I do with the actual community management per se. I think they've done a great job with, like, I know some of the moderators are former community members, right? And I think they're really going in the right direction as far as that stuff goes. What I said in the beginning is that I feel like they do a good job of making me feel like a part of Star Citizen the game, but we're an older crowd and we're a mature crowd, and we don't need, like, necessarily hand holding or babying or anything like that, right? And we don't need to be managed necessarily because we're immature or we're nasty towards each other, and threads get derailed into like Hitler comments or something like that, like a lot of younger audiences may, right? So we don't need it in that sense. But what I don't see from just the overall community, and that very very much includes the video content more than the forum content, let's say, is I don't see enough involvement aside from Xylo on other platforms than their own. And even when it comes to like the video content, I don't know if I put this in the video, but the most simple fucking thing you could have done was something you were doing a long time ago. When we ask a question, use our name. If I ask a question, use my name. Because if Lando asks the question, it's just like Lando's interviewing Chris, and there's that wall that you're talking about, right, Vincent? Where there's a wall between you and the community. If Vincent Van Vega asks a question, use his name when he does it. You used to do that on 10 for the Chairman. Where did that go? Like, something so tiny like that goes so far. And that's like a big, big problem for me is there's those they're small walls. They're really, really thin walls. Yeah, Beer for the Beer God's probably the problem. It's because Beer for the Beer God got asked a bunch of questions, and the guy ended up being a dick. Apparently, right? He ended up being like a jerk in the end of things. But those kind of things are going to happen, and you can't put that wall up because one guy was a dick. Right?
I sent you on Discord what Xylo asked.
Oh, I have it saved. No, I have it saved. So when we're done with your call, I'm gonna just use that as the next little topic. But yeah, I mean, you asked me a question. You're interviewing me. But is there anything else?
No, it's because I wanted to add on top of you.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not... I came on Star Citizen recently.
Mhm.
Like, I wasn't a member or anything of this community.
Yeah.
Like, I bought the game in November. And I just feel like it's so overwhelming for me sometimes because I don't have enough information to judge. And when I say something that they might have tried before sometimes. So that's why I asked, and I wanted to chime in to say that I think that basically what I've seen so far of the community is that we are really united, like not united in a way like
we all share
everyone
different
is in the
opinions.
same place.
Yeah.
But like I feel like every part of the community I'm accepted on, but when it comes to the employees at CIG, they keep a barrier on in the community. Like, it's kind of weird because in other games that I've played in the past, we didn't have this separation.
Now,
And
to be fair, let me stop you there real quick, just because I feel like they started putting up a barrier because things were starting to get a little ridiculous. Like Brian Chambers became like this celebrity, and it was so bad that when I was in, I think it was SitCon 2016, I think, was the one in LA, and somebody followed him in the bathroom and took a picture of him while he was on the urinal. Like, so I feel like they started putting walls up after that type of thing. So I get it, where you kind of want like some separation for things, and let's not get people too, yeah.
But what I mean is that it's basically what I said before, but just adding on top of what I said before is that Star Citizen is such a rich game. It's kind of sad that I felt so lost for so long about it because I didn't feel like there was enough information available to me. I didn't explain a lot of things to me. I just felt lost, and I had to ask a lot of the questions on like Reddit because I didn't know what chip to buy. I just felt lost, completely lost.
I think they're
It's
starting
so
to do stuff with
overwhelming.
that though. Like, do you notice they're starting to do the tutorials on the website, on the
Yeah,
YouTube channel? Do you think like stuff like that would have helped you?
I think so. I
Okay, like,
think
because I think a lot of us and a lot of the community that's been around for a long time, which is the opposite of you, look at those and go, "Wow, those are stupid." But I think it's good that we have you on, so you see that like for somebody there's value in that. You know?
I didn't even know what was a CCU until last week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's confusing a couple of the website mechanics. For instance, it took me 2 months to realize there was like a entire map of the uh, universe of Star Citizen that they published it.
And
For some
it
reason,
won awards.
that's hidden.
It won
For
awards.
some reason, it feels hidden. All of
Yeah.
this information feels hidden for me. It feels like it's layers upon layers of overwhelming information.
Yeah.
And
There's not enough information, there's too much information.
for instance, now in 3.4, I don't even know what's gimbals. I was like, what? I have to learn what was gimbals and basic fighting.
Well, that's what those tutorials are for, and I think that they're going to fix that, and the
Yeah,
website is
that's why I
supposed to be
read that.
redesigned. None of that stuff is really community engagement or community management stuff, but I think that they can take those kind of, and Vincent, I'm going to let you go here, and I think this is a good transition into what Silo said, is I think you could
Yeah,
take those
I agree.
community playthroughs that I kind of mentioned in the beginning and take those and turn them in. Oh, damn it. Vincent, you messaged me what he said, right? Somewhere? It
I
just went
just
away from me.
I just messaged you the
In general chat. Perfect.
Xylos question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Because it just disappeared for me. I was like just getting ready to talk about it. So yeah, I'm gonna let you go, Vincent. And thank you so much for your call. And I really like that it was a perspective of somebody who's new and is overwhelmed by the a lot of information, but it's not compressed into a nice and easy way of doing things. So all right,
I,
Vincent,
I
thank you.
hope it was helpful. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Bye bye.
Always bye. Um I love Vincent. He's so pure. The Okay, so Xylo responded in chat about the community kind of playthrough stuff, and he said this: I must admit how funny it is to hear you want us to play the game and do more community content in our videos. Citizens of the Stars viewership was very low, and the amount of negativity towards the 20-second community bit in ATV can be astonishing. Also, RTV, where we play, is also the worst performing episodes with very negative chats. Yes. Why? Citizens of the Stars, nobody cares about us. Nobody cares about us. I think it's good to do some sort of, I don't know, maybe like partner program type of thing where if somebody goes and watches a partnered Star Citizen streamer, then they get some skin or something stupid like that. I think Warframe does something like that actually, where they do like drops, I think. Whatever that is. So, fine. And Xylo says he cares about us. But as far as the overarching Star Citizen community, they care about the game and they care about Chris Roberts. They care about how the game is playing, how it's going to be, and having maybe some sort of say in the game, right? But in general, there's 40, 50, 60, 70,000 views on an ATV, and there's like 2 to, let's say, 15 and 20,000. Like, I'm on the lower spectrum, get 1 to 2,000 views on a video. Board Gamers on the high spectrum gets 10 to 25,000, 40,000, 50,000 views on a video, maybe, if it's like really, really viral, right? As far as live streams go, still, even the quote unquote not great content on RTV gets a ton of views in comparison to any other Star Citizen streamers, right? Because all we want is engage with us, talk to us. Now, as far as the playing part, is Citizens of the Stars and that happy hour when you were playing wasn't good content for a number of reasons. The game was in what, 3.1 at the time? Right? It was too focused on certain things, like we're going to play Star Marine. Oh, things crashed. Whoops. Like back then, you weren't in this push of making the game more fun and more enjoyable. Is one of the major issues that I had with it. And actually, let me change this to that, just for a quick little thing. Is once again, the viewership and response from the community hated those things. But yet everybody is saying Rexzilla is a god, right? This guy's amazing. Look at what he's doing. Like, but he's not doing anything that we couldn't do, right? So Rexzilla is doing amazing things. We all could do those things. I know, for a fact, I can't because of the time that I stream at. Everybody's at work. I can't, I just can't get enough people to play it. But Star Citizen absolutely could, right? So the idea of going in and creating some scenario maybe, or just playing the game in general, hey guys, we're going to do the Twitch Pacheco mission today. And you do it with the viewership. How fun would that be? Hey guys, we're going to do the Rudo missions today. And you do it with the viewership. How fun would that be? You don't have to do what like Rexzilla does and create these scenarios that aren't the video game. You can do things and play the video game and play it. It's always, like Ichiro just said it in chat. What's been done previously always felt overproduced. Just play the game. Just play the game. Pop on and play the game. Hey guys, this is the section of the live stream where we play the game with you for a little bit. Right? And somebody else in chat said, I like Rexzilla, but you have to give credit for the Space Bros. I'm not giving credit to anybody because we've all done the 25v25. Everybody has done that thing. Rexzilla isn't doing anything that hasn't been done already. He just does it better than everyone else. And like bar none is doing it great. But we're so far off topic at this point. Let's get back to that thing. The game is in a totally different state, and the state of the development of the game is pushing towards you being able to do those things. So popping on and playing the game with the viewers as part of your weekly live stream, or an additional live stream if you want. Hey guys, we're popping on, we're playing the game for an hour. Who wants to join? And you just throw it up on your YouTube channel. But now you're actually engaged with the community, right? And that's where I'm like, kind of like, why this is something that isn't happening. Because it's not the overproduced or more centric to a Star Citizen creator than before. One of the best shows that you've had to date as far as an RTV goes, in my opinion, and you have the numbers on the and comments and stuff, so you might know better, Xylo, than I do, is when Lando was gonna play, but Todd Pappy ended up playing, and he just played and was like, oh, that's a bug, we're gonna fix that. Oh, this is a problem, we're gonna fix that. I saw these in Conan Exile streams. I saw these in the Warframe streams when I watched them. I see these in the Paradox Interactive streams with Stellaris when I watch them, and every other game that I've ever basically have watched an update for is when you have the dev on there playing sometimes, and it's, or someone that is so involved in the project and that knows what's going on, that knows that it's like this is a fix or something that can happen. And yeah, so that's kind of what, like, it doesn't always have to be Chris, but having Todd Pappy on there playing sometimes was cool. Obviously, that's one of the biggest issues with CIG is their global studios, right? Is that they're too separated. There's also walls between their studios, right? Where they can't just, hey, Todd, can you come down here and talk about this subject? Which is an advantage that a lot of dev studios have, is they have one studio rather than 4. So that also hurts for their community content, right? But anyway, there's other people waiting. Thank you, Xylo, for mentioning that, because it's something that I get it. I get what you mean. Where it's the previous shows never did well, but if you, I don't know. I think if we just do it a little bit differently, it doesn't have to be massively successful in the beginning. It has to be something that you build, something that you build as the game grows. And for me, a part of it is I think you're afraid to show the game in the state that it's in, and I don't think that's fair to the game, and I don't think that that's fair to people who are potentially buying the game, right? More often than not, the stuff that is very forward-facing is always super polished. And I think, live stream with this is where the game's actually is, and hey, it's actually fun, is a good thing. So, all right, we have another caller on the line. It's Shadowhunter255, and we're gonna get him on and see what he has to say. Hey, Shadowhunter, what's up, man? You're on Answer the Call.
Hey, how are you, Twig?
Good.
So I just can I respond to Xylo in chat, because
Absolutely.
I know he's in. Yeah. So
just say what he said and then respond to it, in case because obviously this ends up on YouTube and people don't hear it or see it.
That's fine. Yeah. So he was saying about what you've just basically said about the previous episodes and stuff like that, about how they weren't popular, and basically just retouching on what you've just actually your response to Xylo. My not argument, but my comeback on that would be that if you're going to take notice of just the comments that are on videos, that there are going to be a lot of people that will just be overly negative because they have a problem with Chris, the game, whatever it may be. There's such a thing as hate watching, let's face it.
Yeah.
So the majority of people that will comment, Xylo was saying that majority of the comments were negative. I think the fact is that while the majority of the comments were negative, he's not hearing the positive people, because the positive people are watching the stream and they're not responding. And this is probably our fault as much as anybody's, because we don't let our voices be heard.
Sure, that's fair. But were you around to watch those shows?
No, I've only been a backer for about 6 months.
Okay, that's fair. But those shows weren't good. Those things were not enjoyable to watch. But it's not because Lando is impersonable. The other content creator that they had on the show wasn't fun to be around. A lot of the situations that made that unwatchable and unenjoyable was the state of the game at the time. In my opinion, there just wasn't enough there, and there is so much more now than there was then. And I'm not necessarily saying that you have to do this today.
No.
But I am saying that you better start doing it soon.
And what I'd like to say too is, Xylo, if you can hear me, man, don't take the community being upset about this as negative. I just want to say that Xylo, Disco, Landro, these guys do an amazing job.
They do.
And the community, Xylo, man, if you're hearing us, the community has nothing but respect for you, Disco, Chris Roberts, everything like that. So we're not being negative Nancy's or anything like that. People are more upset at the moment because we've lost Calling All Devs, and now we're going to lose our RTV for 3 weeks of a 3-month cycle. It just seems like that we're losing content, as people were already upset with losing Calling All Devs, and now we've also lost, which I understand. And I was going to say about
the dev excuse is not an excuse. It's absolutely a valid reason.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Is it's a case of the fact that we already lost Calling All Devs, and now we're losing. Was it ATV. I always get ATV, RTV mixed up. We're losing ATV for 3 weeks, and it's like we're already upset because we lost Calling All Devs, and now we're going to lose that as well after we were already upset. It's sort of like it's just stacking on top. What I would suggest, or if I could make a suggestion, Xylo, was the fact that put up a thread on Spectrum and ask the community what episodes or what shows they would like us to see, or what we would like to see. Say to them, like, guys, here's a thread. Let us know how many shows you want, what shows you want, and what shows you want to see, and take a poll even, and that way they can go through and pick the most common response or the most overwhelming support. But yeah, like I said, I wasn't around with those original shows that the Citizen of the Stars. That was before my time, but I saw the one with Lando building the animals, like building the crutch spider, building the helmet and stuff like that. I love that sort of stuff. I love that sort of dev working on stuff, showing how devs build stuff. I saw the episode you were talking about with Pappy, who played Star Citizen. I love that.
That was one of my favorite episodes of all time.
So yeah, and like I said, I think it's just a case of people at the moment are a little upset the fact that we've lost Calling All Devs, and now we're losing, which I understand, because I was going to say that this, let's face it, this 3.5 patch, it seems like there was a lot in this patch. There was, if anybody could actually make the argument, I would say too much in this 3.5. They had the flight model, female characters, DNA customization, new area. I think there was way too much jammed in this pack, and I think that Chris Roberts saw this pack come out and thought, "Wow, we're swamped. The devs are trying like mad to get this patch out, to get it live.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go taking them off, doing bug fixing, doing patch releases, whatever it may be, for 3 weeks." I think this whole the episodes aren't that good is a bit of an excuse. I think it's more to do with the fact that they are just flat out with their workload for the 3 weeks after that patch. The patch goes to PTU.
Yeah,
that they are just. I don't want to say he's using it as an excuse, but I suppose he is really. But yeah, he's sort of saying, "Well, look, we need these guys all hands on deck," and I get that. And I was going to say that to me, that 3 week, ATV thing, I can understand that. I can totally support that if they are working on the patches and if they are flat out. I fully get it, totally get it. Like, we've still got 3.5 PTU at the moment. So I get how busy these guys really are at the moment, and I understand it. But that said, I still think that we should have Calling All Devs or Disco playing the game, even just like what you said. Just go through and do missions and say, who wants to jump in and play missions with me or something like that.
Yeah,
I think there's plenty of stuff that they can do, even if. And this is something that you and I have actually said in the previous show, that even if, for example, Disco was to email the devs a couple of days before, get them to write out the answers, and then he can sit there and he can read out their responses. If it's taking people away from dev time because they're busy, just send them an email and get them to respond to the email or something like that. And that way we can still have our Calling All Devs while we are, while they're trying to get their patches and everything like that done. So, like I say, I think at the moment the community just feels there's a lack of content, and it just seems that like everybody was upset about the lack of content, and then it just seemed to have gotten worse because that's 3 weeks without ATV, and it's like, okay, so here's another blow sort of thing. It's like, and I think that's why people are upset. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the big thing is that every time the weird thing to me is that every time there's a show that's done, it's always like hyper focused on something, which is a little bit weird, right? Where like, for example, this week's RTV had to be hyper focused on the one subject because those are the devs that work on that subject. Where like the argument that I've always made is, let's keep the devs off the camera and working on the game, and let's have the community team, and this is under the assumption that the community team absolutely has to grow to multiple hosts and more maybe community managers. where they play the game as well as are very well versed on the game. So if at the beginning of a show you can give an update of what's going on and quality of life stuff that's happening. Okay, we know this is a problem. We're working on it, and these are some of the solutions we're thinking of. That they can also, comment on feedback stuff and all that stuff. But my kind of solution is that the devs shouldn't be on the show anymore. And occasionally, if they're around and want to talk about a subject and you really want to deep dive on something, that should be occasionally. That should be the one or two major features that are coming into a patch. For example, like what RTV was yesterday or 2 days ago. For me, it was yesterday because of my crazy schedule. But yeah, I mean, it's not traditional what they're doing at all, and it's hurting them at this point. I think there's no arguing against that because they're even saying it, that this is hurting the development of the game first and foremost, and second, it's also hurting the content because it's not sustainable. Right?
So if you don't want the devs, if you don't think the devs, which I would agree with, the devs probably should be building the game, what would you prefer? Like Chris doing like a show a week?
Okay,
I think a show a month?
I think bringing 10 for the chairman back is a very, very viable, doable thing. In the sense of don't do it very often. Once a month, I think is really good, and do it live. Do it exactly how you did RTV this week, but gather up questions for a month. And I mean, for fuck's sake, the upvote system on Spectrum is it's broken in the sense that if somebody posts something early, it no matter what is getting upvoted rather than someone who posts a really, really good question later, and then it just won't get asked. And like I just they need the upvote system, but they also maybe need a downvote as well, so people can be like, this is stupid, let's downvote this, and this is good, let's upvote that kind of thing. And Mudfucker also says in chat that Sandy questioning Chris on ATV was awesome, right? She acted as if she was the community, and Chris answered the question. It was great. But is that, again, Sandy has marketing stuff to do, Chris has video game making stuff to do. So them doing that every week is not a good thing, right? Disco's also been getting tough, which I'm seeing in Twitch chat as well, which has been good. But the whole dev time thing is, it's Chris's game. Chris needs to be the centerpiece of the game. As much as I love, I don't know, Todd Pappy and Brian Chambers and Eric Kyron Davis and who's been on the shows recently, the really technical guy, Sean Tracy. Those guys are awesome. Right? We love having them on. It is one of the things that they did amazingly, but why you don't need to do that. And especially if it's hurting the development, if it's hurting the game in some way, which is kind of the vibe that I got from Lando's update. We don't have to have them on that often, right? It should be the centerpieces of the community updates should always be Disco, Lando, and, in my opinion, another host with Disco. And that's it. And then when you get somebody else on occasionally, it's a nice, sweet surprise.
See, the thing is that for example, if we look at the previous show that was just on, right, we had Disco, and the guys who were doing the character customization. If Chris was there, I believe Chris could go through and do a lot of the theory crafting and say what he would like. But having the actual devs there themselves was able to actually let us know what is actually possible, what they could actually do. I don't know if having devs, like a dev on a show for like an hour a week, if it's going to be taking that much time.
But how much prep is there? Like, that's the one thing is, I mean, I've been behind the scenes, but I've been behind the scenes for major events, not just a random video, obviously. And the prep time and everything, it's a lot, you know?
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah, I'd like to know the prep time because I can't imagine it. I don't know, maybe I'm underestimating it, but I can't imagine the prep time being a lot. But that's what I say. The benefit of having the actual devs there is that they can actually answer the question as to yes, this is what is happening. This is what is that last episode of RTV. I loved it. I loved the fact that they had those guys there and they were getting all into the technical aspects of it. And some of it went over my head, but a lot of it I understood. And I was like, oh, yeah, I love the fact that you guys can actually go through and talk about this sort of stuff. I do
Yeah.
think that 10 for the Chairman does need to come back. When I first joined Star
In
Citizen,
some way, it could be a live format,
yeah,
right?
I binge watched all the 10 for the Chairmans. I binge watched every one of them. And I did notice back then that a lot of the 10 for the Chairman was theory crafting.
Yeah.
It wasn't as much as
It's concrete
this
now.
is what we can do. Yeah.
A lot of the things you say are much more concrete than they were back then.
Mm.
You know?
And then there's questions that I have that I'd like to know the answer to, like what's going to happen with like NPCs and all that sort of stuff, and then like insurance. We still don't know exactly what's happening with the insurance on the spaceships, or like like for example with like components and stuff like that. Now I know obviously this is stuff that's all going to be in the future. It's subject to change.
When you ask Chris, when you ask the questions for like the exact things that you're asking there, it's more those are the ones that are Chris questions. What is the vision for your game? You can't ask that to you can ask it to designers because I'm sure they've had meetings and stuff. But those are the Chris questions. Chris, what are your ideas for medical gameplay? And then he'll go off on his crazy tangent and we'll all get excited and then probably get disappointed later about it. But in the end, that's what Chris Roberts is. And some people are going to get upset about it because they haven't been around and don't know that, that's what Chris is. And Chris is just a dreamer, just like all of us. And that's why I bought into the game in the first place, was because he wanted the game that I want, and he's actually doing his best to make it.
Yeah, and look, full credit to the crew and for what they've done. The CIG has done an amazing effort with Star Citizen. I used to do martial arts training before I injured my shoulder, and I used to go around to my mate's place afterwards. We used to have barbecue and drinks and everything after, and I would religiously show them. I would log into my account on their computer, and I would show them like Hurston, and I was showing them Stanton and showing them, and they were all blown away.
I show people at work all the time now.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of gamers I work with now, which is actually really cool, and like a lot of them stream and stuff too. So we just kind of chat a little bit. And I'm like, they're like, "What game do you play?" And I'm like, it was pretty cool. One of them, I was like, Star Citizen. He goes, "Oh, I know a guy that works there." And I was like, "What? What office?" And he said, "Austin." And then he said his name, and I was like, "Oh, I know that guy." So I was like, "Yeah, that's cool."
It's funny too, because a lot of the people I know, for example, that have backed Star Citizen, like one of the guys I work that backed it, I said to him, he said, "What game are you playing?" The same thing. I said, "Star Citizen." He says, "Oh, I backed that."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, okay. Have you played it lately?" He's like, No, I haven't played it since 2.6. And I was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "So you haven't seen it lately?" And he's like, No. Has much changed? I think, and obviously he's going to get the shock of his life when he does finally get into it. But what I was going to say, I think a lot of people that backed it earlier on haven't been keeping up to date with the game. They backed it, they put it down, they've gone on with the rest of their life. And a lot of them, because like there's got a few people I know that have backed it that haven't played it since like 2.5, 2.6. I think if Chris was to get a lot of those people back into it, he would also pick up a lot of base as well. It's just obviously getting them back into the game somehow is obviously the challenging part.
Yeah, and that's why I argue that you need to start playing the game on stream and have a forward facing.
To show it off.
This is the state of the game. It's actually pretty good. Come enjoy it with us. Let's bring those people that back the game back into the game. But Shadow, let me go. I just looked at the time and I was like, we have a lot of callers and we're getting over.
That's it. Enjoy yourself, buddy. Have a great night.
No problem, Shadow. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
All right, our next caller is ASN. Just let me get his little name on the screen here. But Yeah, I'm a little off today too, where I didn't do the tweet and stuff, and I say this excuse sometimes on Answer the Call. I worked a lot yesterday, so it was a 15-hour day basically. So I am pretty gassed. So I'm a little bit off today. So if I get a little off topic sometimes, I'm sorry. ASN, what's up, man?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good. It's we're talking about community stuff again.
Yep.
Once again into the breach.
Into the breach. I really want to avoid doing this crap more often, but it's topical now, and I think after this, we are putting this on the shelf for either ever or for at least
Until things
12
change.
months. Yeah, let's see the
Yeah.
changes, and if they're positive or negative, I still will just kill it.
So I've actually written down a couple of things because there were some really cool points.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that Xylo is mentioning, and since I've done a bit of community management,
You mean what he's mentioning right now?
also before,
Okay.
is like the issue is okay, so stats, right?
Yeah.
Like generally, like we don't have any real like insightful stats on what is engaging or whatnot,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to video content. So
You're
like-
saying for your game that you work on?
no, like just for
As the
CIG,
backers,
like,
we don't know.
as the backers.
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
right.
okay.
So the issue is we don't have the stats or information to execute a better community strategy when it comes to video content, and we don't know what works or what doesn't as much as they do because they
Yeah.
can see much more. So everything what we say is based off a feeling or a perspective of what we think would be better. And I think that's like the issue of, because I can sympathize with Silo because I do understand that they're doing things because they have something to go off on, right? So they're like, okay, here, this didn't work out. These are like, this,
Yeah.
this is the data that we have, and this is the feeling we're getting. And like, if everything combines, this is why we have to change things. So the community doesn't have that, but they do have the feeling. And the feeling is actually also, I think, a resource. Like if a lot of the community is coming out and saying, hey, as you said, we're a part of their community, but they're not like a part of ours. That actually shows that, there's something missing here, right?
Yeah.
So that it's not like, that without stats, anything else isn't of value. No. Like stats just assists what you feel, and what you think is right or wrong. So I would do things a bit differently, but I do really like the idea of having a show that is focused on gameplay, like about the live game, about showing the game as is, not marketing the game as it will be. Because I think
even when
that's
they show the
where-
game as is, they're still marketing it as it will be sometimes. Like it's very
Yeah.
frustrating as a backer and somebody who plays the game often. Because I want the game to be great and I want people to play it because they want to play it and because they're excited about it. But often I feel like they get excited because of the very, very polished videos that are out there. And then you go in the game and you don't experience that at all. And it's not
Yeah.
because like they didn't pay attention to what kind of PC they could have or something like that. And then they get disappointed and then they get disenfranchised. And then that's why there's this like white knight community and this like absolutely like full of hate community.
Yeah.
And then there's like a smaller version of like the people that are like us that are in between. But there's so many that just like love, and they're like usually the ones that don't play the game at all, really. And then there's the hate, which are also the ones who don't play the game at all. And then there's the ones
Yeah.
that play the game that are like, yeah, this is pretty decent, but obviously it needs some work. And I love that I get to have some input on it. Done.
Yeah, and it's definitely like, I would really understand, like I do understand that Citizen of the Stars and the shows, like back, as you said, when they were up, the game was at a different state.
The game is
Like,
at a different
right
state,
now-
and they were too trying to. Like, I think they know that, like, yes, we have, like, as a content creator for Star Citizen, we have some value to them. Like, you see guys like Board Gamer and some of the, I forget the other names that are up there on the high list of referrals. Like, they obviously have value. I mean, add $45 to every one of those packages, and that's a lot of
Yeah,
a lot of money,
course.
right? So there's obviously value to them with us, and I think they were trying to create to say thank you, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
appreciate that, but
Mm.
I think the best way to say thank you is to just be involved
Yeah, and that's
more,
what I
you know?
think why everybody's kind of feeling like, again, we shouldn't put any of the names out there, but
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be said that, like, Xylo is kind of everywhere, and
Yeah,
that's pretty
but
neat.
people don't
Like,
notice that as much as they
um,
should. Like, I think
I mean, not
the
everybody
some people
can
do.
because
Yeah.
yeah, that's true, but not everybody can, right? So, but yeah, so definitely, I would make a separate show called In the Verse, and I would like have
That's a
that like
good
be an
name.
hour. Yeah, and then that would be like an hour gameplay show, and with a 30-minute bracket of a PU or live producer or designer.
Yeah.
So like kind of Top Happy or Luke Presley or whoever else is in
Yeah.
charge of that to alternate to answer some questions and like also play like so kind of like see how their design is like in gameplay and actually play it themselves and be like, oh, okay, so and answer the community if there's some questions coming up, but just like interact with that.
Yeah.
I would. I mean.
If I had my
like,
way,
this is gonna
it'd be crazy. If I had my way, it would be exactly what you said, except a little bit different. Yes, I think there should be multiple updates a week. But again, the Warframe model is gold. They do a weekly like community update where it's just the community managers and they do their little update on what's going on in the game at the beginning. Then they played the game, and then they went into like feedback. Or not feedback, they went into like fan art stuff. So then they were like really community involved, right? But then every 2 weeks, they have a dev stream where they went into the dev build and discussed some of the things they were working on, right? Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, so they had 2 streams a week or 2 streams like every other week. And I think what you could do with Star Citizen, if I had my way, there would be community managers in every studio that were on that live update show. Maybe you alternate them. And then for the dev show, it depended on what you wanted to show that week. If you were showing maybe Squadron 42 stuff, you would be in the UK. If you were showing the ship, a certain ship that was worked on in the UK, that's where you would be that week.
Wasn't something like that tried out years ago? I remember the alternation between studios.
They alternated between studios, but it was like a more pre-recorded thing. And, and you could still do that stuff. But I prefer live content. But do you mind if I just say what Xylo's comment is, just because this is important for the comments in the video and all that stuff? He says, people often cushion their feedback with, oh, we love CIG and the game is amazing. Curious if this is because you don't want people to think you're just all salt, or you're hamburger methoding me, which I don't know what that means. I know all the feedback comes from passion, so no need to sugarcoat it for me. Loving the conversation so far. I know from my perspective that I try to not come off as salty because my community thinks that I'm just complaining, and it like for me it's 100%. This comes from passion. And I want more people to be here and loving the game. I hate hearing the hate, is what it is. And the hate often comes from issues with the lack of communication. So to not sugarcoat it is the communication between community and backer a lot of the time, and up until very recently has been absolute dog shit. So to not sugarcoat it, like when a roadmap change happens, the roadmap is the one that tells us and not you guys. That's stupid, right? You guys should tell us, then the roadmap should support what you guys say to us. Hey guys, there's some roadmap changes coming specifically for X thing. It's going to get pushed back. These are the reasons why, right?
Yeah.
So
like generally my opinion on that is like when I give feedback to anything, I try to find something good about it and then something bad about it. So saying something is awesome is not pointing out something good about it. You're supposed to find the thing that makes that thing really unique, and that like whoever has done something that outperformed their usual like behavior or stands out, you say, okay, this is where you excelled. And then also like go on the other spectrum, find the mistakes, find what is below or like below the accepted standards or way worse than they're doing, and then be like, hey, this is where it's not good. Like we can make this better, you can make this better. Like, this is my opinion. So that's like the best way. So saying something is awesome and then like, oh yeah, you're amazing, but this part really sucks, that's not like good. Like you're supposed to make them excel in the good stuff and then like mend the bad stuff. So kind of.
Yeah.
So on other points, like so yeah, you would say you say like a live stream for the production side as well. I would actually keep ATV and have it not stop after a release of a quarterly patch. And what I would do is, instead of having it stop, I would focus on design aspects. So talk about design stuff that will be relevant in like
the next patch or whatever.
Then the second patch after the
Oh,
one
okay.
coming up, right? So like talk about like mid future stuff and bring those designers, because the thing is, we're talking about a 500-man studio here. Like there's so much development going on, and I've said this all the time, and I'll keep saying this. There is always enough to share at a studio at that size.
Yeah, like that's the one thing that like I've seen this said so many times. How can you tell me there's nothing to show? And this is this the golf swing mechanic problem where they showed the golf swing mechanic, we fucking started throwing tomatoes at them, and they and say how bad it was, and then they were like, well, fuck you guys, we're not gonna show anything anymore. I don't know if that's what happened or not, but I see that so much. And it's that reaction instead of okay, there's a problem here. What's the solution? And for whatever reason, the solution for them is always, we're not going to do it anymore. Oh, you guys don't like the ATVs after an update? We just won't do them anymore. Oh, you guys are going to get mad about the R&D showing stuff? We just won't do it anymore. When we're ready to show it, we'll show it then. You know? And it is important, because I see somebody else saying that. It's also managing expectations, which is very important. But, you know, that's the kind of line they have to like.
I think you're really at a really good point, like making a really good point there, because on their end, like that reaction is definitely some not positive, because you spent so much time working on something, and then like, hey, and everybody should know, and this is why disclaimers and like huge. Guys, I mean, you felt that at the R&D cave thing that somebody's mentioned in chat, where this is definitely not coming soon. This is not something like, don't expect this. This is just something
flash
we're
it
doing
on the screen, you know,
because
it didn't
like,
look.
This is...
The idea of it was amazing. It didn't look great, you know. The idea of this giant rock out of nowhere that has a whole, like, you know, it obviously is going to get smoothed and polished, but I never commented on any of that because I knew, because they did a good job of being like, this is in R&D, and you know what? Hopefully that gets them more comfortable about doing stuff like that in the future.
Yeah,
I still want to see that stuff live, though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's.
I don't want any more like pre-record. I want minimal pre-recorded, maximum live, because even if you show a pre-recorded video on, let's say, the caves, then hey guys, we'll take some questions about it, or now we get to actually see your reactions live and everything. I don't know. I think it's just I think it's a better format, and it's more engaging.
It can, yeah. I mean, of course, it is like more engaging and whatnot, but kind of depends on the internal like video production pipeline and how everything's set up, because they've honed this for a while now. That's another thing, right? Having a live show is different than like, that's why YouTube and Twitch are different.
Yeah.
But like that's why I would prefer ATVs being pre-recorded, because you have to like do a lot of scheduling and planning in that and get the footage and whatnot. But you can make like the worst like just, you know, live, because it's much easier, because it's on the live build.
It's literally just flip a switch and play. You know, what we do in the morning, basically, or what I do.
So I would like have that, and then have ATV focus on more design, more long-term stuff after release. And then try to alternate, and this is my opinion, and then do RTVs with, of course, dev stuff and all this cool stuff we're saying, like asking questions to Chris and all that stuff, but alternate between design, gameplay, audio, art, and production. So like alternate between different like fields in game development, so you can like, you know, so everybody gets taught a different field and has an insight, as well as meets different people in different sides. Like alternate, they do that a bit. But I think that there could be just like slightly more alternation between fields and more consistency. And then that's like kind of like my thing. And I don't know how their community team is set out and how they're divided.
Yeah, me neither. I have no clue.
But like how I would do it, and this is of course like I have no say in this, but this is in my head how it would go. It's I would have one like video communication director, and I think that's already Jared right now.
It seems that
and
way.
I would
Yeah.
and I would
Director
have a
of
social.
global video production. He says something with global video production in his title. I don't know what it is though.
Yeah, I don't know. This is just like what I would have, in my opinion. I would have a somebody, but of course, I'm talking about focuses. Everybody can, of course, support each other's tasks. That's always the case. I would have somebody 100% focused on social media and written communication. Somebody focused on in-game communication, like always playing the game, always every like switching servers every day. Imagine like somebody that always talks with the people in the server and like switches between servers on purpose just to talk to as many people as they can and engage with the people inside the game now and then. And I'll have like 2 people, one North America focused, one EU focused on event communication. Try to go to all the bar citizens, all the extra official events, and all of these people would of course support each other and their roles whenever they have time. And in that way, you would have CIG everywhere. Like you would have them in the game, you'll have them all at all the events, you would have them on social media all the time, you would have them on videos. So like they will be everywhere and all constantly engaging with the community. That's like the ideal. And of course, the ideal is not, always working when put into practice. But that's like how I would go about it.
And Xylo just kind of confirmed he's content manager for the global video production department.
Oh, okay. All right. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. So he's not like the lead necessarily. It sounds, by being content manager, it sounds like that he has a boss or something like that. Was what that makes me seem.
Yeah, and also another thing that I'd point out about Chris coming up every month. I wouldn't do that. I would actually keep Chris at every quarterly release, and have Aaron come every month.
Okay.
Because
how about a director every month? Like at the very least, like a potentially like a Brian Chambers, an Aaron, a Tony,
that could also work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's maybe how you.
The reason why I said Aaron is, from what I understand, he's head of global production, and generally, while producers are more focused on getting like everybody to work and have them focus on their tasks. The reason why I say that is Chris is much more in design and much more in the vision, and of course he tracks everything. And everybody said this a million times, but still, we like a lot of the Star Citizen community wants to talk about gameplay, right? And the one that is in charge of implementing that gameplay is Aaron. He's not a live designer, but he's actually saying, oh, yeah, this is what we're working on. This is coming up in the next quarterly patch. This feature is that way.
And he was really good about calming and setting the expectations in the recent show as well, where Chris kind of does the opposite. He gets us all riled up and our expectations maybe go a little wild, whereas Aaron sort of puts them in the right place.
Yeah. Aaron is like more realistic on that stuff. And Tony, of course, I think like Tony's amazing, and I honestly I love like watching his stuff. It's just I actually like set like I open those tabs and like dedicate my time to listening to what his like goals are. But I think Tony is gonna really start shining soon. Like once like the dynamic missions are in, like the universe
once
is
his
coming
content
alive.
works,
It's going to be much more exciting to keep track of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my overall thoughts on that.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for the call and the feedback and everything. As always, like I say every time, it's good to get somebody who works on another game to talk to us about kind of how it's done in your studio, and give us a little, because we don't have the behind the scenes understanding of structure and things like that, so it helps.
Yeah, and another thing, it's so awesome that we have a game that is like open, and there are of course other studios and their games that are as open or share as much, but it's still like, and in the entire game industry, it's still a really special thing. And it's awesome to be able to talk about this stuff, have the devs come and listen, and have your feedback, react to the game so quickly. I mean, how many times have you said that the travel times from atmosphere to landing was taking too long? Like that, like just getting in the atmosphere is taking too long. And now the game has changed. Like, and everybody like wanted to support that, right? So it actually reflected into the game, and so many things have reflected to the game throughout the years. And I really love that. And that's why I want to contribute.
I think we need to hamburger method this a little bit and say something nice on the outside. But the like that's the thing is I don't want to make this just this is a total shit show. This is so bad. and everything needs to change. It's just, I think we see the direction of the community content not going in the right way, and now's a good time to really take the reins on it and steer it in the right direction for the impending, I think, flow of new backers, new viewers of their content, new everybody. You know, I think we know that
Yeah.
the second that this game is much more playable, and I think we see that going in the right direction from the roadmap this year, and even seeing the new kind of update with the 3.9 roadmap and what their plans are. It's really geared towards the game being a lot more fun and being more playable and being more streamable and YouTubeable as far as gameplay goes. And
Hmm.
what's going to happen is more people are going to start watching, and
They already are. I
Yeah.
mean, you can check all the Twitch stats, all the YouTube stats.
yeah, they're
It's
all
going
a
up.
bit higher. Everything's going up for sure.
Yeah.
But I just, the actual still like super engaged community is not going up at the same rate that those other things are going up.
Yeah,
And
true.
but again, I don't have all the stats, but if you look at a very very important vote on, like, when they said what is the next, gameplay mechanic you want to put in the game, there was like 37,000 votes.
25. Yeah.
You know, like, that's not good. That should have
Yeah, true.
100,000 votes plus on it. You know, but
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
So anyway, ASN, have a good one. I'm gonna bring in our next caller.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you so
too.
much as always.
See you.
Bye.
Take care.
All right, and our next caller, ASN always sounds so sad when I let him go. You know that? It always sounds like he's disappointed. Windlord, welcome, man.
Hey, Twerk. Yeah, first time caller, all that stuff. Good to hear you.
You have to say it right. First time caller, long time listener, subscriber, tier 3, YouTube subscriber, Twitter follow. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All of the above, mate.
All of the above.
Exactly that.
You ever notice streamers
So,
ask you to follow you on like everything and do literally like spend 12 hours a day supporting them?
Exactly,
ever notice that? It's
exactly.
ridiculous.
Well, I've got all that free time for you, mate.
Yeah,
anytime you
exactly.
want, so it's
Right?
no
Just watch the
problem.
fucking stream if you have time. That's it. All right.
Anyway, I thought you were going to be talking about community content today, as in the content the community makes rather than. But anyway, that's
no,
maybe
yeah.
that's next week's content, but call-in show. So yeah, all the good calls before this. It's hard to. I think most people have taken a lot of the points I was going to make, but I really like listening to ASN. He's always kind of really level-headed and
Very level, yes.
yeah, very, very good kind of overview kind of content, a lot of stuff. But the main point I was going to kind of make was about CAG. They seem like that they make very reactionary decisions. Now,
Yes.
It was said as Xylo said in chat before, we don't focus on the vocal minority, we focus on everyone all at once. Exactly, I think he said something like that they can still listen to the let me just find it, I wrote it down somewhere. The silent majority can still be tapped into through creative, and I don't know what that means, creative analysis. But
just like who's watching, like how many views are on this versus on other things, probably.
Right.
How long
right,
they're
okay,
watching, view time, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay, whether that includes, people who haven't actually got the game or people who are actively playing the game or whatever, it's maybe a bit more difficult to tell. But
Yeah.
The point is that they seem to make a lot of decisions based on Reddit or Spectrum feedback, and that is always people who are vocal about it. By definition, it's always people who are actually vocal
Yeah.
about particular gameplay or particular things that they have. And in terms of actually the shows that they're producing, from my side, it's kind of irrelevant what the name of the show is, or whether it's got a particular type of show that follows up every week, whether it's calling all devs or whether it's RTV or whatever it happens to be. The name of the show doesn't really make a great deal of difference, but the content's always been something that's varied through time. So if you look back through, I mean, I've been like you. I think I started somewhere in mid 2013 or something.
Yep.
But the content's kind of it's varied through time, you know. So even ATV as content, it's not stayed the same since it started. It's something that's changed over time. The way that they've done it, you know, whether it was focusing on a particular development studio or a particular topic, or whether it was just kind of an overview of the month or the week or whatever it happened to be, it's kind of gone on with time. What's important though is that it's consistently been there.
Yeah.
And they're now talking about taking it away for 3 weeks after each launch or whatever it is.
Yeah. So this past week was
you know,
week 1.
Right. Okay. So, you know, 52 weeks in the year. So they're now going to remove, you know, a fifth of that content or whatever it happens to me. My maths is not that great. But it's a way that they're consistently talking to their backers. And when they take that away, they're taking away a particular way of actually, of giving us the information, of feeding back changes, of feeding back important decisions that they've been making, or whether it's something that's contrary or may go down well or not with the community. That's their main way of actually speaking to the community.
Mm-hmm.
And to take that suddenly away, or to reduce the amount of time that they're spending with us, basically means that they end up the salt levels, if you like, will grow because of that. You know.
Yeah.
It only means that any decisions they do make will then be met with bigger feedback or bigger waves of change. You know.
Yeah.
That's just kind of my thought on that.
I agree. I mean, I think you're
it's-
right. Like the most important thing is that it's been there, and I think that's the only reason why. Like, I don't think the community got super duper like up in arms about ATV going anywhere, going away, like they have about other things in the past. But I did, only because I kind of am like, well, what's the next step? The more you keep taking away, it gets weird, and then you get in the subscription conversation, and they now share their financials. $3.5 million is a lot
right.
you know, and this is one thing that I didn't mention in the video, and I wish I did. You know, having a second host or multiple hosts, like you got money, and you have one guy, and when the guy takes a month-long vacation, so did the content with him. At the beginning of the year, what happened? Lando was gone. And there was we're working on new content idea, which no new content's come out, and he just disappeared. He went on vacation, so the content disappeared with him. He didn't just disappear. I mean, whatever.
Which doesn't make sense at all.
It makes
you know?
no
It's like,
sense.
Every time they've talked about improving or changing the content, actually what it's meant is a reduction in content in some respects, you know?
Yeah.
And this thing that, you know, okay, so Jared's gone for a month on holiday, and Manny needs the thing. He's obviously spends a lot of time and energy doing this stuff for us, you know?
Yeah.
But they used to have shows with Zylo on, with Ben on, with you know, there's loads of people that have done those kind of shows in the past. Some of the early guys, even I've forgotten their names now, but they, as you were saying before, you know, there was always kind of like multiple guys doing the questions or making the shows or bringing that content, and it led to more varied content. When you've got everything just coming from the mind of Jared, it's bound to have a kind of
you know, when Jared wrote something.
Right.
Like,
exactly
I know,
right,
like, I feel like I know for a fact those tutorials were written by Jared. Because
maybe voiced by him.
They're not voiced by him, but I hear his voice in the other guy's voice. You know?
Yeah,
it's crazy because Jared just has his style, and that's cool. That's totally fine. It's not like I hate Jared's style. It's just everything is Jared.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right.
And just like you want to change the content, it would be nice to have another, at least one other host to balance out Jared, right? Or to, you know, just somebody totally the opposite of him. Like, who was great to have? It was the editor, Justin. The exact opposite of Jared.
No. I like Ben's style as well. You know, I
Ben
really
too.
like the fact that Ben was really kind of chatty. They always talked about kind of big overview kind of topics of, you know, features that weren't in game yet, or their ideas even for features and stuff. And they can still do this. You know, this excuse about, hey, there's no content, there's no. Sorry, kids shouting in the background. There's no. You know, there's nothing we can show you, or there's not enough.
They
to
weren't
be
written by
productive.
Jared, by the way. Damn it.
No, but it's memeable. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
There's always a something. You know, we were talking about ideas. You asked in your YouTube video the other day about.
Hey, bring your kid
one
on the
sec.
show. Bring your kid on the show.
Yeah.
No,
One
seriously.
sec.
Tell him to come over here. Let's see if we can get him on.
Come here. Do you want to be on the TV? Do you want to be on the TV?
Who is on TV?
Who's on the TV? You're saying his name's Twerk. You want to say hi, Twerk?
Hi, Turk.
Hey, what's up? Do you
I'm
play
good.
Star Citizen with your dad?
Do you play spaceships?
Yeah, I do.
Do you like them?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have a
How
favorite?
old are you?
I'm 5.
Five.
Five,
Nice. Do you have a favorite spaceship?
Yeah.
What's your favorite spaceship?
It's Rocket.
A rocket.
So
Say the carrot. Say the carrot.
The carrot.
No.
See, children sell. They should just have children doing the shows. That
Yes.
was like one of their favorite shows recently. Was having the kids on at the end. You know.
I was gonna say that he must like the Herald, because that's like a
You
rocket.
like Twerk. Don't say that. You'll get a big head.
I like you, Turk.
Thank you. I like you too.
My name's Gabriel.
Hi, Gabriel.
Shh. Now the whole internet knows your work. He knows your name. Oh no. Oh.
But that's it. Don't say anything else.
Say bye, Twerk.
Bye, Turk.
Bye. That was cute, man. Yeah, I don't know where we got, but where we were, but that was nice.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. Do you remember where we were?
This is Sunday. No, not at all. But
Me
I was
neither.
talking. I was going to mention something else. What was it? Oh yeah, talking about sandwiching things, or whatever the
Hamburger method.
into,
I learned it.
Exactly.
Learned a
into
new
hamburger,
method.
Yeah. Right, the hamburger method. There are some good things that CIG have done. I started getting into Ashes of Creation, which is another game that's not out yet.
Yep.
Which is another kind of MMO that's coming in whenever it comes. And I started thinking, oh well, this content's really good that they're doing. You know, it's really refreshing. And I realized it's actually really similar to what it was like back in the early days of CIG stuff. You know, it was really simple.
A little more
They'd have
laid back.
Yeah, but they just have like a topic where they would have one gameplay thing that they would show off, whether it was grey box or white box or whatever it happened to be. They would just show off something and say, "This is what we're working on." And then the same week, they'd then have like a call, not a call in, like a live show, where they'd answer some questions from the community, where the CEO or CIO or whatever he happens to be was on the show. But he wasn't leading the show. There was a community manager or whatever they call him,
Mm-hmm.
or her in this case, that was leading the show and kind of putting the questions around to whoever they had on. And it's really simple format, but it gives information. It allows for questions for community, and it talks about something. And the video they do is like a 5-10 minute video on a particular feature, but then they go back and talk over that the same week. And I just thought it was very simple, but it doesn't need to be overly complex, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think simplifying things and looking at what other people do successfully and implementing it in part of what you do is, I keep hearing, okay, I this is off topic, but not off topic, is I listen to a hockey podcast all the time. And the guy is, the main host of the show is the biggest nerd ever. And he has all these stupid sayings. And he says this often is like, a smart guy steals ideas and a genius does some makes them their own, basically, and I think
Okay.
that's what CIG needs to do is start taking other people's ideas and just making them their own as far as their video content goes, because there's no denying I don't get the views or the comments on the videos that I do normally than when I do the ones on this specifically. So there's no denying that there is something lacking, something that needs to be changed, something. And
yeah, there's also that shit sticks though. You know, if you complain about something, people pay attention.
yeah, but I complain about a lot of things, and they don't always get this. They
True
don't
that,
always
true
get
that.
this much traction. But when it comes to this, because I think just as we're passionate about the game, we're just as passionate about the information that we're given, and we want it. Like, we're so passionate about the game. We want. And I think that they can continue to give, and I think that they can do it in just a more efficient way with, more just community manager centered, and then dev is the treat kind of thing.
Right.
You know?
No, I was thinking about something the other day. Was that what was the last thing that they put out that everybody started complaining about? And it was like this big hype thing again. That everybody was like, "Oh no, you should have told us about this beforehand."
The
Why haven't you
CCUs.
told us, right? The CCU.
They gave
I
us
know,
a
but that
year
just-
in advance.
Yeah. Okay. But
So anybody
it's-
complaining about that, in my opinion, is like straight up either an idiot or is complaining to complain. Like, the amount of advance notice they gave for those CCUs is insane.
Hashtag not from CIG, in case somebody in chat's asking.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Whether you agree or disagree, or think that a year is enough, or whether you think that, hey, the ships still aren't in, and therefore we still need longer, or whatever it happens to be. The point is, whatever decision they're making, the method of passing that information on is through these kind of channels that they've got, and
Yeah.
they have to get better. They have to get better in actually preempting the information that they need to give us in some respect. Okay,
Yeah.
Now lots of people from Twitch or from YouTube have talked about maybe the idea of a group of community people that they have. I don't particularly like this idea.
I
think
don't
that
either.
Most of the time that people have the CIG have made decisions based on community feedback, I don't necessarily think they're good things. I think they need to make their damn game, and they need to make it in the way that they think is right. And if tweaking and things happens afterwards, I mean, we're kind of party to the development of this game in a way that no other game has done, which is amazing, and it's great, and it's something that's it's mind-blowing to think that since the beginning, the whole community has been in on pretty much every major decision made in the game and so forth. That's something that never happens. It's just like I always liken it to being like Big Brother for a development house or something.
Yeah.
It's like that, and it's weird and it's wonderful, but there also needs to be a point where CIG just make the decision and say,
Yeah.
This is what we're doing, because we know that this and this and this and this are coming in later, which you don't know about, and you have no idea how it's going to work, which are going to make all of that make sense.
Yeah.
And yet we're reacting to X mechanic or Y thing that, is a half a story. I was having an argument the other day on YouTube with somebody saying like, oh, this is a terrible mechanic or whatever they were saying, and I was like, well, it's like judging the game of snooker with only one ball on the table and a cue, and saying the whole game is terrible. You can't gain a full understanding of how things are going to work, and the same applies for like your the time in quantum travel and things like this.
Which I'm very vocal about.
You are, but it's also half an idea. It's like it's half
It
of the
is.
picture.
It is, but the biggest problem with quantum travel is if it doesn't get a complete overhaul and isn't completely stationary, that I don't see too much to make it a reasonable experience with the length of time that you're in it.
Understood, and I get that idea, and also for now, for the gameplay, what you're saying makes total sense for what we have now.
Even for the future, but yeah, I mean,
but this is the thing. How can you answer that? Not actually working for CIG, you can't fully. You can have an idea, and you can think, okay, yeah. My feeling is there won't be enough to do to keep me interested, and I'll be alt tabbing or whatever it happens to be. But the same applies for all of these different features.
Yeah.
And at some point, CRG has to. The point is that sometimes CRG have to get better at giving us those the little bits, the little steps that they're making, not just the big picture all at once and too late. You know, it's like Chris coming in and talking about a redesign of the fuel mechanic all of a sudden on Reverse the Verse. Nobody knew about it beforehand. They could have made a full 80s around the verse about that, just with, Jared asking a couple of devs or Jared just talking about their newest ideas and the newest implementation of.
To be fair, that's what you'll get with Chris. Is when you get Chris, you get things that you haven't heard yet.
Right, but they're not fully fleshed out, and when that happens, he'll say a little comment, and then he had to produce a whole 2 pages of text to re-go over all of those things because he just kind of given a little tidbit without the full amount of information.
Yeah, I agree. That's a problem.
And that includes updating the website. It includes updating. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but yeah. Cool show. Thanks for having us on, Twick.
Thanks for having us on. Yes, it was fun. It was fun, man. That was actually pretty awesome. So, all right, man. I'll let you go. Thank you for your comments, man.
Yeah.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right, and our next guy is Dursus. Welcome, man.
Hello. Thank you. Good to be here. Good to be here.
Good to be here too. Sorry, I zoned out for a second. I'm starting.
No worries.
I'm starting to slowly degrade into dust. So, what are your thoughts on it? You stream as well, right?
Yeah. So I stream a lot of Star Citizen.
Yeah. So you have. Do you feel like before we start anywhere? Do you feel that a lot of your points come from the streamer perspective of I want it to benefit me more, or are you more centered towards like always let's make the game and the community stuff as good for everybody? Because I know I have a hard time of it being not biased.
Right?
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah, I definitely try and not be biased. And I mean, because I actually like playing Star Citizen too, which is part of the reason why I stream it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so part of my question, or I'm wondering what your thoughts are, was I was reading the design notes, some of the old design docs that if you guys haven't read them, I'd recommend checking it out. But I was reading the one on the on Rec, and I saw at the bottom of it, it had an interesting thing that we haven't heard anything about.
Okay.
Stuff changes, of course. But I thought, that's kind of cool. And it was regarding daily challenges, and it talked a little bit about the personal challenges in Arena Commander that would, give you a rec at the end of the day or whatnot if you did it. So I'm looking at some of the things where like get 10 kills at 50% throttle, or dodge 10 missiles without using countermeasures. Like, okay, that's kind of interesting. But then they had another thing that they mentioned, which were community challenge examples. So like kill 3,000 Vanduul in co-op swarm, or complete 500 laps in old Vanderval or whatnot. And if those were done, then it would unlock like a community chest that would give rec to everyone who participated. But that kind of thinking really interested me, because I thought, like, why don't we have... I understand why I guess we don't have community stuff along those lines now, but... You
mean like community stuff related to the game? I remember, I just like vaguely remember Sandy on an ATV like years ago saying something about like community challenges.
Yeah.
Like I vaguely, and I just remember like it was her voice that said it, but yeah, there
I posted a link to it in the general chat, and it's like at the very bottom. But yeah, so that kind of thing where even if you had something like that, I feel like you could have that as a day, or as a show, as a ATV or whatnot, or an RTV, where the devs are playing it and contributing to the community challenge or whatnot of killing 3,000 Vanduul swarm or Vanduul.
There we go. Sidelight said it was a community chest where we donate rec for things that was mentioned. Now this was before UEC.
Yeah.
All right, Dursus, are you ready for this? Because I think
All right, hit me
we
with it.
might have to come at Xylo together because I need to. I have to make a point. We held 31 contests in 2018 as opposed to 6 in 2017. Fun facts. What are your thoughts on that as far as that being community engagement?
Ooh, okay. So I have a little thing of things I wrote down, and that was actually
Because
one of the
I
things I
am not a
wrote
fan
down.
of those contests.
So what I am also not a big fan of them,
Okay.
and so one of the things I wrote down was that currently our community events are external, so it's all screenshot focused, commercial making, which is really cool for those really talented people in the community. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's things like, oh, find the hidden picture, find the thing that's in the monthly magazine or whatnot, and figure out where in the verse it is. And like that's better, but it only appeals to a very particular kind of person. And so I would love to have something that would appeal a little broader, something to everyone.
Yeah. I agree. And they are it. And he said it wasn't a jab or an assertion. It was just like that was something that we replaced and we added, I think is what he means. It's hard.
Mhm.
Just so if you're watching on YouTube, Xylo's in Twitch chat. He broke his leg. He's not in any shape to be on a show or anything. We did try to get him on the show today, but it was just never going to be a thing because he's not in the shape to be on camera. So he is like, it's a blessing that he is even here interacting with us in chat. He probably shouldn't be. He should just be resting right now. So I appreciate him being here. Yeah, like I some of them were pretty cool. I like the ones that are involved with the ship sales a lot of the time. But
Yeah.
for me, what a lot of those contests were, it's the same situation where the community engaged content always feels like marketing. Like it's not like, it's weird because they're fun and the idea of doing them are fun, but like, go make a commercial for us. And then they literally play that commercial at the beginning of an ATV and you're like, thinking face, like, did you just use someone else's content to sell a piece of in-game content? Sort of.
Or
I know they didn't. But
Yeah, even then, I feel like you could have a spin on that where, say, you're making a commercial for Star Citizen. If CIG is making their own ship commercial, you could have a day where it's, hey, we need a shot of, I don't know, a bunch of people running across whatever, Area 18. And that's something that's like, yeah, community, boom.
Yeah. I agree. I think that they're like, the contests are cool. I'm not a big fan of them necessarily, but it also kind of sucks because like anyone that's related to a screenshot or any video content, the same fucking guy wins every time, I think. So it's like, and then Hegemon in chat, which is a former CIG dev and makes a fantastically good point. Ed, did you just use someone else's content to your own benefit? Which is what we do all the time anyway. Like, which is what like Bored and Noobifier myself do all the time. You win. I take it all back. You win.
Touche.
Yeah. You win.
But like,
You're right. Like, check mark, Hegemon, 0 torque. But yeah.
But I mean, and then you get like examples of the amazing things like the expo, of course, which we can't have every week, but like that was something that I thought was awesome because it gave a reason for people to jump in. Like right now, Star Marine, I have fun in Star Marine. It's buggy and broken, and I'm not playing on the greatest system. So I experienced a lot of bugs, but it's still cool. But it could be rad if, I don't know, Fridays were Star Marine Day and they announced something like that, or they had that on an RTV where it's, hey, we're jumping into Star Marine. Everybody, come on in.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think they can do that. And I think the game today is in a place where they can do that. And I think they tried to do it before and it just wasn't in a place. And yeah, the same guy apparently doesn't win the videos all the time. Xylo's bringing the facts where I just am like, I think I heard his name twice. And like Haskagagagaga, whatever, however you say his name, the guy who just like is a beast with screenshots. I was like, well, I don't even bother with the screenshot contests because yeah, I'm just gonna get destroyed by Haskagagaga. But apparently he's won like a few, but not all of them. But
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I feel like there's a few creative things you could do with that, though, and like with the live shows, and it's understandable that they can't have the devs on constantly all the time because they're not making a dev documentary, they're making a game.
Wait, they are
But,
making a dev documentary though.
Oh,
Right?
touche. Never mind then. All
They
right,
they
stop it.
are, but they aren't. Like, but it shouldn't be like based off the content from every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's some other things that I think they could do that are really cool, or that would be cool, would be like in the verse that was mentioned earlier, but having a dev who could go and share more behind the scenes stuff. What was the inspiration between parts of, Hearthstone as they're walking around it? Or because I love concept art books and things like that, when you can find out things that you wouldn't normally hear about or questions you would never normally ask get answered.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm glad you came on because I like that you're saying most of the things that, or actually all the things that you've said so far. Like it's not streamer. I do get the sense sometimes, and I've done it before, is that when a streamer or a YouTuber has an issue with something from CIG, it's usually just to benefit them, and that like. My goal with this whole conversation was to avoid that altogether, is to not mention anything about, oh, you should, play with streamers more. You should pay attention to streamers more. Why help me grow my viewership, dude? Like that's our job to do on our own. And to some extent, the devs going and working on the game, that's what benefits us. I think a lot of Star Citizen streamers are not doing as well as they could be because they're just kind of, the game is not in a place to propel them up where it likely will in the future, right? So for me,
Yeah.
I don't like CIG doing some sort of like Warframe like partner program. That'd be kind of neat. But anything besides that, I don't like. I've always said this and said this a million times. CIG has done more for me personally than I could have ever dreamed of. So I ask for nothing from them, and I hope this isn't breaking any sort of NDA, but there's been times where there was like sort of like a hint where maybe we would work together and do something else, and it's like, no, I've had enough. Like I've had enough. It's like there's so many other awesome people. Share the love a little bit more. And then ever since then, I haven't been involved with anything, and I'm like super, super comfortable with that. So like my salt never comes from my lack of interaction with anyone from CIG. At times, I wasn't sure where my standing was with them, and that's important to me. Like I don't want them to hate me because like I consider Xylo a friend, and me and Xylo are cool, but I don't want anyone out there to hate me as a person, and that's just on a personal level. It's not really from a streamer level or whatever. But,
yeah, because I feel like at the end of the day, like as a streamer, ideally you're streaming or playing the game because you want to be playing it. So
yeah,
my things are I just want. I want.
I don't stream the game because I want to play Star Citizen all the time.
Touche. Yeah,
I stream it because my streaming experience is more enjoyable when I play Star Citizen. My gaming experience necessarily isn't, because obviously Star Citizen has a ways to go before it's a really enjoyable game, right? But my streaming experience is more enjoyable. But yeah. And like Xylo says, if you're ever unsure like where your standing is with him, just ask him and he'll tell you, and he does. So yeah.
Yeah, that's totally.
Which is a very, very Xylo thing. Like for I'm sure no one's made it this length in the video at this point. We're like 2 hours in now. but the like a comment that Zyla made went viral on Reddit, and it was basically like, yeah, we listen to what the backers say, and we take it into account, and if they're upset, we like think about it about why they're upset, and actually think about things logically instead of just pushing them aside, and that's something a lot of people could take a look at, and learn from. But anyway, there's this. Let me let you go because I have one more caller, and this thing has gone like insanely,
Totally.
insanely
Well,
long.
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Anytime. I hope to have you on more often, for real.
Definitely.
So, hey,
definitely.
Say your Twitch name because it's a little different than what I put on the little name bar there.
Yeah, I mean, you can find me at Dersus TV, so DERSUSS TV.
On Twitch, right?
Yeah, on Twitch.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, Dersus, thank you so much, man.
All right, thank you. All right, peace.
Bye. Skylar,
Hey man,
what's up, dude? What are your thoughts on everything?
I'll try to keep this short so you can get off. But
You should hear for those of you guys that watch the stream a lot, Lola for the last hour and a half has been sitting outside the door crying. So, Skylar, give me 1 second. I'm just going to let her in because it's been...
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I guarantee she won't even come in the room. She just doesn't want to be locked out of her room because she's a dick. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know that feeling, man.
Yeah.
I have three cats.
Yep.
Okay, what I wanted to talk about is I want to offer a bit of a differing opinion, actually.
Okay, perfect.
I think, because I would consider myself to be more part of the more silent majority.
Okay.
Because like we had a caller earlier, right, who said he had a friend who hasn't played since 2.6
Yep.
and just was idling, And I actually haven't played the game since 2.6, so I think
Okay.
I'm actually representative of at least some of those people, right?
But you watch the video content, right?
I do keep up with with most of it, but I only really watch the video content because I watch you review it pretty much.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I follow the development of Kickstarter games in general. And what I want to say is that, at least for me, all the what you would call community engagement,
Yeah.
it does not really matter to me personally.
Okay.
Like I know I think it's good that it's there, but all the like playing with the community, like I really couldn't care less. And I think that's also what is reflected in when Silo said that the content did worse.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think that way.
Yeah.
Because to me, the game is not currently in a state where I would consider it enjoyable to play,
Yeah.
And so I don't really enjoy to watch it either.
And yeah, that stuff's totally fair. Like the checking in on an update every now and then is fine. And I think that is the majority of the backer group. But I guess the things that I see and the reason why I guess I got so passionate about this stuff in particular, like these last couple weeks, is that I feel like the silent majority is probably going to be the silent majority for a while, and it's going to be the same size or grow like standardly with how Star Citizen grows. But I think that the engaged community didn't grow very much at the same rate. I'm not going to say very much at all, but the actual engaged and active community is very small in comparison to what I would have expected it to be. And part of it is because the game's not ready. A big part of it is that. But the reason I think that the discussions now are important is that the game is getting to a place where it's ready, right? and not being that 2.6 style game. I think it's getting to a point, and I've said this many times, where it's almost a Sea of Thieves like experience with more bugs, basically. And you can have some fun in it, but a lot of people are waiting for it to be above 50 players and more persistence and all those things that obviously need to come in. And then I imagine that engaged community will be much, much more engaged. But the content is less and less and less. And the style of content is for the kind of backer that you are right now, which is I don't really play the game. And if I check in what's going on in the content every now and then, I will kind of see, oh, well, they've made good progress on that. That's nice. Oh, I'm not comfortable playing right now with the amount of content that they've done. That's fine. But at some point, when you're in a place like, I'm always going to go back to Warframe because I was so blown away with how good they were at this. When you're in a place where the game is playable, then you need to transition the way you do your community engagement and your content. And it's getting to the point where you should start thinking about those changes. And that's why I'm saying these things, is we're basically there now. Because you're seeing, like I saw Rex mentioned in chat again, you're seeing someone like Rexzilla having a great amount of success on Twitch because he straight up plays the game with his viewers. So, like, what the hell? Why isn't CIG doing something like that? You can grow your community. I mean, even something so simple like, this is sort of off topic, but like Destiny, they have subscribers on Twitch. I was like, first thing I thought was like, what the hell? They have subscribers on Twitch? That's stupid. Why would they take money from their community like that when they're already backed by a big studio? And it's like, oh, they give that money to charity. Like, just little things like that would go a super long way for a company like CIG that looks like they just are a huge money grab all the time. That's what they're called. They're just called them, everybody is like, this is a scam, this is a money grab, blah, 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 blah. When us that are the engaged community actually knows what it is. But the little things like that can go a long way too, as far as just like your overall view, like the way the world views you, I guess, I don't know how to say it. I'm so tired right now. Go ahead, Sky.
Do you notice all the games you mentioned are actually a lot more complete than Star Citizen?
Of course.
So, like, I actually don't really agree that the game is that close to where it is in a state where you should have to worry about that. Because I think right now this is more of a streamer thing.
It could be. But at the same time, would you not argue that most of the work that's going on for the year is to make the game less to grow the game less from a feature standpoint and to grow the game more from a playability standpoint? Like, if you look at the roadmap, there's less feature work on there than in previous roadmaps, and there's a hell of a lot more quality of life work.
Let's just say I have some opinions on that too, but I think that would derail this a bit. So,
okay.
I don't know. I just really don't think the game is anywhere close to that. I think sure, they are working towards it, right? But I still think they are really, really far off.
Well, then what would your solution be? Like,
that's what I'm gonna come to, because to me, I don't care about watching like the dev and some people in the community, sing Kumbaya and dance around, I don't know, a Big Benny machine or something, on stream, because it's really
exhausting.
That kind of stuff just doesn't matter to me. Like, I get that some community engagement is fine, right? Like showing fan art and stuff. Like, I think that's fine to have. But to me, like, most of the stuff is more of like a filler thing.
Yeah.
And what I care, then, if you have to make content for me, right? There are some things I care about and some I don't really care about. Like, what I care about for example, is having the some of the leading parties like Aaron, like Chris on camera.
Yeah.
That's something I care about.
Yeah, that's a huge
Because
thing because you see the vision and all
I
that.
gave these guys the money, the money I spent.
Yep.
And they carry a responsibility, I think, towards the game and towards the community to make this game.
Yep.
And I want to see them then, you know?
Yeah.
I actually agreed with Ace, and that I actually would like to see Aaron a lot more than Chris, to be honest, because I think he resonates a lot more with me personally.
Yeah. What about the idea of like just seeing more like not just Aaron and Chris, but like Todd Pappy or I don't know who else would be Aaron, Chris, Todd Pappy. I guess that would be it because I don't think anybody from the Austin. Tony. Tony would be the one.
By the way,
Todd Pappy is.
Remind me what he does. Like,
I don't know.
I can't remember all the names.
I don't know what his title is, but he oversees the PU basically. He is the lead on the PU as far as like what his title is. I don't know. That people are saying live director in chat, and I think it's something like that. As far as everything that touches the PU, as far as everyone that touches the PU, like it's him. You know? Yeah. What's Todd's title?
Gonna talk about that later too.
Okay.
Because like I care about people with responsibility being on the show, but I also care about the show showing actually information about coming gameplay mechanics, because let's be real, that's what I want to see, right?
Yeah, we want to play.
And I think that's what a lot of people want to see when they watch this, because you want to see the progress towards what you would consider a fun game. And don't get me wrong, like I don't mind them seeing the devs itself like play the game. I actually like that. Like Paradox stuff's the dev clashes, right?
Oh my god, they're awesome.
Yeah, no, I know you like them.
Yeah.
But they don't do community interaction in the dev clashes, right?
No, but
they just play with each other, and they also play like a version that is a lot more complete in a sense. Like they don't. I mean, it's obviously buggy and stuff, right? I don't really mean that, but I mean they have a lot more mechanics in when they do these, because the game is not as what I would say hollow, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't really think you can apply that to Star Citizen right now.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I don't have much of an argument against that. Like, I feel it is, and you feel it isn't, and I feel like we're just going to disagree on it. Like, I feel like you can absolutely pop into Star Citizen and do some missions with your community. You could do a couple missions with your community.
Yeah, but
why
can
the
you do
fuck
it?
not?
Can you do it as a solo person?
Why not? Sure.
Can you tell me with confidence that if I went into the game, I could play this game for more than a week?
I'm not saying I'm not asking them to play the game for more than a week. I'm asking them to play an aspect of the game for 20, 30 to an hour on a stream. I'm not asking them to play the game every day.
No, of course not. But you ask people to watch the game at the games they play, right?
What do you mean?
And I think it's really important that if you people don't tend to watch if they don't actually enjoy playing as well.
Okay, but there is a small sector of the community that does enjoy playing, and they can play with that part of the community. And what I'm trying to do by what I'm discussing is grow that section of the community, because I think too much of the community is like you, that is, and that's totally fine to be waiting. But I think some people don't know that it's at least somewhat playable now. Right? And to show that off occasionally is not the worst thing in the world. That's all I'm saying about it. Is to pop on and do a stream and play some games with some people What the hell? Why not? And for the dev to show the game in their development build, yes, please. Like this is exactly, somebody said in chat, literally the reason why Twitch exists. Yet they don't take advantage of it. So it's, I don't know. Like, should they play the PTU with backers? No. That'd be stupid because it would just it'd be broken and would be a mess the whole time. But once you get into the 3.51, 3.52, and it's like very stable, like most of the builds at the end of their cycle, and you play with them.
Reading some of the stuff in chat, like I actually
I don't know.
Disagree that the reason why Twitch exists is that people watch games they don't like to play. I think Twitch exists because people like to watch games they would like to play but don't play, and because they like to be part of the community.
I think they watch games that they do like to play and help other people play those games, or see other people experience the same things that you experience.
To reply to some to clear that up a bit. Anyways, so to get back on the topic, what I would like to see them do in the community updates, because what would criticism be if you don't offer some what they could do, right?
Yeah.
What I want to see is I want to get more of the people in charge on camera, preferably Aaron because I like him.
Chris, Aaron, Todd,
I think
Tony.
that's important. And other, if you look at other Kickstarted games, most of them do that.
Yes.
And most of them can do that without much issue, even with much smaller studios.
Even if it has an impact on the development, I still find it incredibly, incredibly important and would probably benefit the game overall.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's incredibly important to have these people on.
Me too.
And then the next thing I would like to see is I would like to actually see one of the thing you proposed with having ATV be like a live show, but I would like to see it less often so it can have more meat,
Okay.
Because I would like to have something in there that actually interests me in every show, even if it's just a small segment. So I
mean, we're never going to agree on this, but I just the solution of making things go away so when you do put them out they're more exciting is not the solution for Star Citizen. The problem is that we're not happy with the amount of content that we're given per week and the type of content that we're given per week. We want something on a at least a weekly basis. So the solution of sending everything away for a long time, so when you do put something out that it's exciting, okay, I'll just watch CitizenCon every year then. You know what I mean? That's something I won't be able to agree with you on, and I will argue that one till I die. Is that the problem is that the community isn't happy isn't happy with the lack of content. And part of it is exactly what you're saying, is the quality of the content lacks. But it's because the type of content that they do isn't sustainable. And that's why I kind of argue more on the play with your viewers live, interact with your engaged community, and grow your community that way a little bit, and stop having the impression of you be, well, you're just a money-hungry scam, and that all you do is just sell spaceships. Because to be honest with you, as far as their forward-facing content, a lot of it looks that way, but we know from the inside that it's not.
I mean, sure, but like making for me personally, right? Making a show that has more community interaction to fill the in between is actually exactly the same as making HTV less often, because I just won't watch it.
But you're looking at it though. You're not okay. You are listening to what I'm saying, but you're not. I'm not saying to fill content. I'm not saying for it to
Yeah,
fill
but that's
that.
what it is, no?
No, it's to
At
grow.
least for me, you know.
Okay, sure, it is for you, but for me, it's the most important thing is to grow your engaged community, because your engaged community, guess what, is the community that spends the fucking money on the game, right? Your engaged community is the ones that are buying $300 spaceships for some godforsaken reason that no one will ever understand why.
Yeah, but are those streams for the people you want to bring in, or for the people that are already here?
You need more people. They're the people that are already here, but you need the people that are already here to grow, to continue to fund the game. And
yeah, but do you grow the engaged community by making these streams?
By engaging with them?
You know?
Yes. Guess what, Sky? You grow your engaged community by talking to them. Not by going away for weeks and then putting out some video that you go, oh wow, for 5 minutes, and then put down and never watch again. You grow your engaged community by fucking engaging with them. And I am so tired right now that I'm sorry, but I'm getting like a little, like I'm getting agitated, and I'm not actually agitated at you. It's just like I'm freaking out. Like, I get 100% of what you say, because I actually, like, I don't disagree. Like, you're 100% right because of how you are taking your Star Citizen experience, right? You're going, well, you know what? I don't think the game's really fun or enjoyable. I check in on the updates every now and then, and you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing it exactly the way I wish I could sometimes, right? I'll pop in every now and then. Oh, it looks fun. Maybe I'll play it for a little while. Cool.
Don't worry, man. I'm German. That's a normal conversation here.
Yeah. And obviously, like, you make the point. Like, a lot of this is probably because I'm a streamer, but it really isn't, because I feel that the content is lacking, and I think that there's just like super, super easy solutions to make it more fun and more engaging, right? And I think that I don't think they're hard, because I see other much smaller, with not $3.5 million a year budgets to like, people make video games on that fucking budget, right? People make actually fun video games on that budget. Yeah. And they didn't make engaging content with that budget, and it pissed me off. Like, that's what the problem was. They made marketing content with that content is what the vibe I got over the last couple of years, and it bummed me out, you know. And those are the solutions I'm trying to provide. Is like, I think you could do it a little bit better, because I see these other games do it better.
Sure, and sorry that I'm talking over you sometimes, by the way, but there's some lag in the...
Bro, please interrupt me when I'm going off.
Yeah.
Save me from my rant.
I mean, I guess it's just that we like to see different content, right?
I think it's that we're taking our Star Citizen experience. I think it's because our Star Citizen experiences we have different philosophies on the way we want to experience Star Citizen in its development stage. Is that fair? I think that's fair.
I guess.
Is that you want to take a more like sit back approach, and I want to take a more pay attention to me approach. But pay attention to me as a backer, not as a streamer.
I know, I want them to pay attention to me, but I want them to, or at least not to me, but I want them to pay attention to the stuff I care about. If that makes sense.
That's fine, but that's also pretty not selfish.
I don't care if it's selfish, because
you paid your money, like, and that's why you paid your money.
It is like this kind of stuff is made to make me enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
So it might be selfish, but if I don't enjoy it, I don't enjoy it. I'm sorry, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, final thing before I'll
no problem
let you get off and get some rest, right? I would like to see. And that's, again, my personal opinion, because that's kind of stuff I care about. I like to see more designers on these shows.
100%.
of actually gameplay being had. Because in my opinion, like designers are the rock stars of game development. Like I see it in other Kickstarter games. People always want to see them.
Yeah.
Always.
And there's
it doesn't
no
even matter what they talk about, pretty
Star
much.
Citizen 2. There's no way that when Tony Z and any other major designer, I mean, you guys can just name names in chat if you want, because I'm kind of losing my mind here and I forget them. But anytime a designer's been on the show, those are always the most engaging shows. Like, hey, talk to me about this thing you're designing, and those are always the exciting things for people. I'm 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how realistic this is, right? Because like these people work too, right?
Of course.
But like for example, there was like I really care about like economy and stuff.
Me too.
So there was this presentation they had on CitizenCon about how they intend to do like the whole economy thing with how the ship prices are gonna work and how NPCs are gonna affect it with like their simulated NPCs and stuff, you know?
Probability values.
Yeah, if you remember that?
Of course.
Like I don't think we've heard anything about that ever since.
Yeah, because it's not ready to be in game. Tony came on.
Of course not.
To just talk about, like, I mean, and Tony's been saying the same shit for the last like 3 years. He never says anything different. He just says it a little bit, like maybe a little bit differently, but it's always been the same kind of, this is how we're going to do the economy. And he just quickly ran through a presentation and it was interesting, but it's the game has to, and the AI and all these other factors, there's dependencies for those. So what's the point of talking about it if you're just going to say the same thing you said before?
And what I want him to say is not necessarily, I mean, of course they probably can talk about some stuff because that stuff gets fleshed out more every time, right? Mm-hmm. But I guess what I'm really interested in is not as much information on how it's going to work, but how the progress is on it, in a sense, you know?
But if it's dependent on other things, then there wouldn't be any progress?
Yeah, but I don't know what it's dependent on, and that's the issue.
Okay.
That at least I'm having, you know, like okay. I can't go in and say, hey, I want to see economy in game. Why isn't it in the game? And I have no idea, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we are like, I agree with you. Like when the economy stuff first came into the game that we have now, it was dynamic, and now it's not. Why? It was actually dynamic. If you bought and sold things often, the prices went up and down. Why doesn't that exist anymore? And what's the plans on bringing it back? And what are the steps in bringing it back? I agree, man. Like, I'm with you.
I think my issue is that I can't go in these shows and they don't give me like a view on what's the current state of things is.
Yeah.
And what's missing and what they have to do next, you know?
Yep.
And I think that is kind of what I want from updates, because that's what update means to me, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
I want them to update me on the progress.
That's fair.
Like they don't have to give me dates or anything, but I just want, hey, the economy in the game that is in the game currently doesn't work for X and Y reasons, and it's not that we made a change, but it just has dependency on that, and it's fine, you know? Like that's perfectly fine. It's one line.
Just that one line, is enough for you. Yep.
And I can go to that. And if someone else has the same question, I can just link him to that, and we're all happy, you know.
Yep. And then if somebody asks it again, Jared can reference it on a show. Blah 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 blah. Done. Right. But yeah, all right, Skylar. Let me go because holy shit, this show is insane. But that tells you that there's actually a problem, right? I mean, I think I was a little bit long-winded today, but at the same time, everybody had their opinions on stuff, and I don't think there's any denying that there's a problem. So maybe our solutions aren't the best, but you know, it starts with, hey, there's a problem, you know. But all right, Sky, let me let you go. Thank you so much for calling. Sorry I got agitated. It just
don't worry.
I barely slept, and yeah, it's just coming down to I have no idea. I'm not a human anymore. Let's talk to you later, Sky. Thank you for
Yeah,
calling
get some
as
rest, man.
always. I will. Have a good one.
Okay, bye.
All right, so our last little thing will be a Twitter post, because I did not talk about hashtag ATC at all. Not everybody has the time or the ability to call in. So, did he... Hashtag ATC17, anytime you guys want to call into the show with a tweet, basically. So text into the show. It's like, instead of calling on the phone, it's like texting into the show. So this one is from Mudfucka. And he goes, I think Star Citizen video content has dropped way too low. No longer do we see calling all devs, 10 for the chairman, lore makers, bug smashers, town halls, etc. I'm still waiting for video content aimed at the long-term backer that was discussed at the beginning of the year. That is a very, 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 very strong point. Oops. That's a very, very, very strong point. Where there was supposed to be content for the new backer, tutorials, shit like that, which we're starting to see now, I guess, and content for the existing backer, which should really be RTV. And the long-term backer should be that engaged stuff. The long-term backer, guess what? We're not going anywhere. I think if you're more engaged, you'll start to see more people in there and all that stuff. But anyway, guys, I really, really, really enjoyed this show. I want to thank Tyler for even stopping by in the state of his health is bonkers, and he commented a lot in chat. So I really appreciate that. I wish we could have had him on in voice and all that stuff, because I think a lot of the times when you get an insight into what actually goes on their day-to-day, then it's a lot easier to understand why things are the way they are. Like, I'm sitting here telling Jared how to do his fucking job. Are you kidding me? You realize how stupid that is? Like, I'm some stupid 34-year-old doofus who sits in front of a webcam and talks about a game that's barely finished yet. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't... I'm not in a place to discuss how he should do his job. But at the same time, I looked at what I loved from other studios. And that's all I wanted to talk about, was what I liked from other studios, you know? And I definitely think I have a valid point of view, because I've been behind the scenes, I've been and I've been a backer for a long time, and I'm just bummed out about the way things are. So, you know, it's really hard, because I don't want to take away from Jared or take away from Tyler or praise them too much and do the hamburger method on them. But the thing is there's definitely a problem, and there needs to be some solutions. And I think they need to be soon. And I mean, there's just simple things, like I've been saying forever, just communicate with us, man. When something bad's about to happen, you need to tell us before we start getting out of hand. You know what I mean? And Legatus for Life in chat says, it's not telling him how to do their jobs, we're just asking them to focus on what matters now, or for me, what matters to me, right? What matters to me is really, really focusing on that community that's with you there every day, and growing that and cultivating that and molding that. More importantly, it's molding that. It's to get away from the really toxic part of those people and really, really uplift the constructively critical and the happy side, you know? Like, there's the overly white knight, and then there's the insanely toxic, and then there's this really, really nice medium in between. And like, cultivating that and engaging with that is super, super, super important. Because for Star Citizen, the overly toxic tends to not be anyone that plays the game necessarily. I think we know who those kind of people are and who they're engaged with. And then there's the White Knights, which are just like, I don't know what's going on in their head at some points. And I think we could definitely engage with just that community that's there, enjoys the shows, and enjoys the engagement and enjoys the game to a certain level. You know what I mean? And just grow them. And I think that you're going to start seeing probably just like a lot more funding happen and a lot more gameplay ideas. Seeing how people play the game will be important for the development's game and all that stuff. So those are my final thoughts. Everybody have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Hit the like button and the comments, and I want to hear what you want to see from them a little bit, even though I'm sure you've already commented in the previous video. So I imagine these comments will be kind of low. So goodbye, everybody. Have a good one.